Have you ever wondered why two people read the same novel but understand it differently? Mm, okay, today we are going to read this book, Beginning Theory, written by Peter Barry. There are 16 chapters. First chapter is Introduction, Approaching Theory. Let's start from zero as if you have never studied theory before. So first we have to understand what is literary theory. First and foremost, understand two words: literature and theory. Literature, which means poems, novels, plays, short stories, etc. Theory, a systematic way of thinking about something. So, literally, theory means different ways of thinking about interpreting and understanding literature. For example, imagine we are study Cinderella. Normal reader may ask what happens in the story, but a literary theorist asks different questions. A Marxist critic might ask, what does this story tell us about wealth and social class? A feminist critic might ask, how are women represented in this story? A psychoanalytic critic might ask, what does the behavior of the characters reveal about their unconscious desires? A structuralist might ask, what patterns and oppositions are present in the story? A post colonial critic might ask, does the story contain ideas about power, culture, dominations, or the other? Same story, different way of reading it. This is the basic idea of literary theory. Why do we need theory? This is very important question. Without theory, we may simply say, I like this poem or this novel is interesting, but theory helps us ask why. For example, suppose a poem describes a woman who is accepted to remain silent. A feminist reading could examine who has the power, who speaks, who is silent, how are women represented, what social expectations are placed on women. So, theory gives us tools for deeper reading. Theory is not simply the opinion of the writer. This is a common misunderstanding. Literary theory is not I think this poem is good. Instead, it gives us concepts and methods for analyzing literature. Think of theory as a pair of special glasses. Normal glasses, you see the text. Marxist glasses, you notice class and economic power. Feminist glasses, you notice gender and power. Psychoanalytic glasses, you notice unconscious desires. Um, Psychological conflicts, post colonial glasses. You notice colonial power, identity, and cultural dominations. The text has not changed. Your method of reading has changed. Literary theory versus literary criticism. You should know these distinctions. Literary theory asks what ideas or principles can be used to understand literature. Literary criticism applies those ideas to a particular literary work. For example, theory, feminist criticism apply feminist ideas to Shakespeare's Macbeth. So remember, theory gives us the tool, criticism uses those tools. What does critical theory mean? You will see this term again and again. Critical theory generally means approaches discussions established ideas about society, culture, language, power, identity, gender, class, history. The important word is caution. A critical theorist does not simply accept this is how things have always been. Instead, they ask why is like this? Who benefits from the system? Who has the power? Whose voice is missing? The big change in literary studies, one of the most important ideas in Barry's books, is that literary studies changed dramatically with the rise of modern literary theory. Earlier approaches often focused strongly on the author literary work, literary beauty, moral values, universal human experience. Later, theoretical approaches began asking much wider questions about language, societies, politics, gender, class, sexuality, history, culture, identity, power. So, literature was no longer treated as something completely separate from society. Um, let's take a simple sentence. The king ruled the kingdom. Different theories may read this sentence differently. Marxist reading asks who owns wealth and resources, who works, who benefits from the system. Feminist reading asks where are women, who has authority, how are gender roles represented. Psychoanalytic reading or ask what the desires, fears, or psychological motivations might influence the chapters. Uh, a new historist reading asks what historical power structures exist when this text was produced. Post-colonial reading asks how are rulers, outsiders, and cultural identities represented. This is why theory is so powerful. The most important things to remember, don't think theory gives me the one correct meaning of text. Instead, think theories gives theories gives me important ways of asking questions about a text. That sentence is extremely useful for understanding the whole book. That's it. Thank you.